Let's talk some sports, baby.
Taken by Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by Jordan.
And remember, make tomorrow better than today and make today better than yesterday. And you know what we gonna do. We gonna holler at you until next time, baby.
All right, guys, last week we talked about the anticipation surrounding Sunday's premiere of The Last Dance. Well, episodes 1 and 2 dropped on Sunday, and boy, did it sure deliver. The tell-all of Michael Jordan and the Bulls championship run covered all sorts of ground in 2 episodes, jumping from Jordan's high school years all the way through the start of the 97 season. So, Jay, what were your major takeaways from the first 2 episodes?
Yeah, first of all, I thought it was very well done. I think right from the jump when the intro starts and I'm listening to Biggie and Diddy, I think that's just absolutely outstanding. So just want to get that out of the way. But I take a look at this Bulls dynasty that we saw. It was always very clear to me that after the initial three-peat, it's just kind of common knowledge. Michael Jordan went off to, play baseball for a year or so. He did that and then eventually came back, had the next 3 titles. And then it's just kind of, a period or just a bunch of white space that I just never looked into or ever thought about. It's like, oh, well, that was it. And it just leads you into actually like seeing in the first 2 episodes, like the actions that set the stage for why this was called the Last Dance. Because you looked into the first domino that really fell, which was, the general manager, Jerry Krause, letting Phil Jackson know, yeah, this is your last year. I don't care if you go 82-0 and we win another championship, which, that's just, I don't know, that's just a ludicrous statement in my mind. And then you see how things progress from there. The Scottie Pippen element that was really looked into in episode 2 from the moment he signed that 7-year, $18 million contract up until holding off on his foot surgery, which he could have got at the end of the 5th title, and he waited until the regular season to elect to get that done, just thumbing his nose at management. And then it continues to go. There was Jerry Krause, rode on the buses with them, and Scottie Pippen's just like openly berating him and yelling at him, and it's just excessive to the point where Phil Jackson is like, hey man, just I don't know, maybe back off just a little bit. But isn't it funny? Phil Jackson, who, there can be a great argument made that he's the greatest coach of all time with the most championships. And at the time he had 5 titles and going for his 6th, and that a general manager would have the audacity to tell him, this is your last year regardless. I don't care what you accomplish. I just find that to be absolutely just unthinkable at that time. And there was that the part of the documentary where they actually tell you that Jerry Krause was grooming a guy by the name of Tim Floyd to be the next coach for the Chicago Bulls. And then we all know that once the Phil Jackson news came down, Michael Jordan came out and said, well, I'm not playing for anybody else other than Phil. So once Michael says that, he's your star player, he's the franchise. So without him, you've got the freedom to blow it up because, you clearly weren't interested in paying Scottie Pippen. So, and the Scottie Pippen contract, you remember at the time, the owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, actually came in and said, this is a bad contract, don't sign it. But Scottie Pippen was looking for long-term security. So I can only sympathize with him, but so much. You had the owner, who you would think the owner would have some stake in the long-term success of the franchise, and he's actually giving you advice that would be beneficial to you, saying, don't sign this. But as the drink mentions the point of where was Scottie Pippen's agent, I think that's a fair question. But and then of course the issue of Michael Jordan's 2nd season, where he had the foot injury. And he ended up throughout the time that he was healing and rehabbing, he actually went out and he was playing 1-on-1 and then 2-on-2, and then it continued to, eventually play on 5-on-5 games, unbeknownst to the team. You think about that, and I think Drink's got some great points on that, but that's probably something that would be very difficult to get away with today. And then you bring Michael Jordan back, and Michael Jordan's interested in making a playoff run. And you see it juxtaposed against the franchise is thinking of, well, I mean, we're not going to win anything of consequence this year. Let's just hold Michael back, not play him, and we'll just get another draft pick. And Michael Jordan's competitive fire and will burned so hotly, even in his second season, that he just, butted heads with management, eventually got his way somewhat. They came to a compromise. They said, all right, we're going to put you on a minutes restriction, which, my God, 14 minutes, 7 minutes a half. And the coach was actually told, what was it, Stan Auerbach at the time? If you play him 14 minutes and 1 second, you are fired. So you see the coach playing the middleman, and there was that game against the Pacers, I believe, where there's 30 seconds left and Michael's reached his 14 minutes and he wants to keep playing. They're down by a point. He thinks, hey, we can win this game. This will put us in position to get into the playoffs. And the coach is like, yeah, I'm gonna get fired. So, and that was actually the initial rift that was set up long term between Michael Jordan and management. It's a great. I think the first 2 episodes were extremely well done. I like how they go back and forth from what is actually the final season to other points throughout Michael's career and throughout the dynasty. And wouldn't you know it, credit to Phil Jackson, who perhaps his greatest strength is managing egos, keeping players focused. And isn't it fitting that he was actually the one that, coined this rallying cry, The Last Dance?
Well, listen here.
And the game has changed a little bit in some aspects, but those guys out there playing are like, they're athletes. I mean, those guys, they look like the guys we see flying around today. I mean, Jordan's flying around like Giannis is today type thing. Like it doesn't look like it was because some people want to frame it as, it was a whole different world 20 years ago. It's like, really doesn't look like it to me. So I really enjoyed like getting some footage that you maybe wouldn't always see of some of these games and how Jordan played. And I mean, yeah, he would be just as dominant then as he would be today. I mean, it was really cool to see. One of the things I saw too was Jordan was famously he said right before this release, he said, people are going to think I'm a bad guy and all this, but so far I haven't seen that. I mean, a lot of people make the Kobe comparisons, and I see why, because he has that same drive. And I mean, to win, you've got to do stuff like he was doing. There was the clip, I believe in the second episode, when he was really getting on the team, the start of the last season. They had a rocky start, and he's in practice, getting, crawling up guys, trying to get him to do what they got to do. But it didn't feel like he was just doing it to be mean. It didn't. So I don't know what Jordan's like kind of angle was on that. I'm not sure what we were supposed to take away from it, but all I saw was a guy trying to get his team in shape to win games without, his star player next to him. But I overall thought it wasn't all that bad.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, we only 2 episodes in, so we still got another 8 to go. So
True.
we don't know what we're gonna see.
Steve Kerr hasn't got punched yet.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that. Okay, well,
but hey, I would offer this couple points of pushback on your point about the game not looking any different. There are 2 differences you can absolutely see 100% when you watch the game film that they show. Number one, the physicality of the game. You can see that absolutely, and then part of that is the lane is so much more clogged because there is so fewer 3-point shots.
Yeah, I guess I was more on the angle of the athletes themselves.
I would buy that. Yeah,
I guess that was kind of what I was talking about, because watching some of the guys flying around the jumps, and it was like, I don't know, these guys look pretty good to me.
I agree with that.
Yeah, okay. And and the last thing I kind of saw was the whole Pippen angle and how things have always been just business. I mean, really was with the way they handled Scottie Pippen, it was a just business thing. The whole thing with Krause at the end of this was, hey, I'm trying to get ahead of what I know is coming, and I'm trying to blow this up and get out from under this while I kind of got some value, and I don't let this just burn out on its own. Maybe I can get ahead of the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, that made Pippen mad like it should have. I mean, that made Jordan mad like it should have. And those comments for Phil Jackson were ridiculous, but it just kind of shows that even with a team like that, a legendary, just do it all team, at the end of the day, it's a business. It's a league. It's a business. There's money involved, and you are pretty much always expendable when it comes down to it at the end of the day. So I thought that was even back then, that was just something we see today with guys. The only issue I had was the time jumps did get a little weird at times. Like, they spent a lot of time on Krause like really early on, and then kind of came back to him later. It was at times it was a little like, okay, now we're back here, now we're here. But overall, it was really well put together and like a real good like filmmaking sort of put together event. So I'm really excited about what they have for the rest of the episodes. So those are going to be on Sundays from now on.